Hello, good evening, and welcome to the War Room. This is day 48 of Russia's incursion into the Ukraine. And for once, everything is set up exactly the way it's supposed to be, because I actually did my due diligence. We are set up properly. I did all the show prep, the scroller's correct, the day is correct. The map is correct. The stories are correct. I finally got it right. And rightfully so. Because for those of you who don't know, today, April 12th, 2022, is the last day that Pwnery is the answer to life, the universe, and everything in between. In 3 hours and 28 minutes, I will hit a milestone in my life that is absolutely meaningless. The only thing I have to look forward to now is retirement. Damn. That's really shitty. So anyway, Pwnery woke up to an email this morning inviting him to his 25th high school reunion. That should give you an idea of how old I am now. Because today's the last day I'll be 42. That being said, though, I've had a pretty good year, considering what I've spent already in the last 3 months. I was able to acquire my Colt Python. I was able to acquire a Colt Anaconda. I was able to acquire a AKP? Yeah, PSA AKP, which is a GF3 modeled Crink style AK, which looks a lot like the rifle that Osama bin Laden had. Although his is 5.45, I wanted the 7.62 so I was very adamant on getting that. And I know I said I wasn't going to tell you what I bought myself for my birthday, um, but I don't want to make you wait because I don't want to record the episode for this until Saturday, which will be post facto. Pwnery bought himself a full-length battle rifle AK-47. He also did it in a complete made in America version. And there's a story behind this. My goal at the beginning of this year was to have the Bin Laden rifle, but in 7.62 by 39, followed by a RPK in 7.62 by 39, followed by a regular standard AK-47 sized rifle in 7.62 by 39. And then if I had money left over, an AK-74 in 5.45 by 39. Well, availability, inflation, whatever, I couldn't get the WBP Fox Polish rifle that I wanted. So, as a channel exclusive, I guess I'll let you know now. Pwnery bought himself a 4th generation Palmetto State Armory, US made, cold hammer forged, chrome line barreled AK 47 with the imitation Bakelite furniture. And I've shared it with a few of my close friends, including my co host, and they all like it. They said, that looks amazing. So, this sound you're about to hear is the sound of me racking my 4th generation PSA AK 47. And I have to say, I have no complaints. It's gorgeous. It's well made. The finish is good. The fit is good. Every magazine I've put into it fits beautifully. Right now, I'm holding it with its artificial Bakelite furniture, which is very, very well done. And I have an RWB Korean-made Fakelite Orange Sunburst magazine, and that too is quite nice. Fully loaded with, what did I use for this? Oh yeah, Norma Tactical Brass Case 7.62 by 39, which I got from a local source for cheaper than Wolf Steelcase. So I'm very happy with this. Um, the reason I haven't recorded a video and an unboxing yet is because I actually already bought the creature comfort upgrades for this. So I was kind of hoping to get all the parts in first and then do that. Anyway, we have a rather short episode today because, as I've discovered, because of the Russian end around approach after they had pulled away from Kiev and then swung around and sort of re-established themselves for the southeastern flank of Ukraine to push that offensive, news stories have been a little bit slow. But we have enough for you, and as I promised, I'm going to try to get this down to 1 hour just to save you your time, because typically the War Room has been a 2 to 3 hour endeavor, and I know that's a lot to watch, and I get a lot of you guys on the replays rather than watching it live. So we're good there. I have one co-host today. I sort of scared one off. I did get a couple of comments last night when I said something similar. It's not the viewers that I was talking about running off. I ran off a couple of co-hosts because they were off subject. And I didn't even mean to run them off. I just said, hey, try to focus it towards the topic of the show. And I think that scared them off, which I apologize. That wasn't my intent. I just kind of wanted to help hone it down and focus it down to what I was trying to do here. Because for me, the War Room is a passion project. I'm not emotionally invested in this. I'm not from Ukraine. I'm not Russian. Despite the fact that I can do very good impressions and I can read Cyrillic and I can read Russian and Ukrainian languages, it's not me. My dad's from Michigan. My mother's from South Korea. So I'm not invested in this. I'm doing this solely for getting the information out to you, the viewer, and because I have become sort of a fan of history, and I'm fascinated with the history. And that's why I want to share it with you today, because it's sort of something important to me because it's become a passion to me. And if you notice, I'm not monetized, I don't have a Patreon, I'm not asking for a goddamn thing. If you're from Fiocchi or Cellier and Bello and you want to sponsor my channel for ammo, cool. But other than that, I'm not asking for anything. Anyway, let me pull in my other co-host. This is Scott P79. Most of you know him. He's also my enabler for anything and all things AK. But then I informed him that I'm in 6 Milsurp auctions, despite the fact that I'm trying to save money, even though I've already spent 10 grand this year, and it's only April 12th. So let's just get that out of the way.
Not my fault.
No, not
you
your
don't
fault.
Have any self-control.
Look, I bought a Python, I bought an Anaconda, I bought an AKP, I bought an AK-74, or 47, sorry. I bought all the parts to fix my Mini Cooper S, and apparently my Thunderbird decided it wanted to spring a fucking...
leak.
Yeah, it wanted to spring a schizophrenic leak. Which I get to tear that all apart this weekend and figure out where the fuck the water is coming out from. Anyway, as I was saying, today's War Room, the scroller at the bottom, yes, it's up to date. Yes, it's the correct date, day 48. All the statistics on the bottom are correct and accurate to today. So, you will see that the infantry numbers, the artillery numbers, the MLR numbers, a couple of changes since yesterday. I have done my due diligence, and they're all there. Today's thumbnail is the battle map as of today, April 12th, 2022. And when you look at it like that, in terms of the number of committed belligerents and territory captured, they're not doing so good, the Russians. And we actually have a pretty funny story about how pathetic their UAVs are. Because a drone was shot down, and a Ukrainian soldier decided to show you and me and the rest of you out there on the internet how shitty Russian technology is. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started because I've already wasted 10 minutes of your time and I want to get this under 50 minutes, or 1 hour. So we have 50 minutes to try to get this all out. Sorry, had to wet my whistle. Today's show is sponsored in part by Carbach Hopadillo IPA, and I have indulged in the entire case that I picked up on the way home. Anyway, I'll try not to sound like a babbling idiot. First story. Today comes out 5 minutes after midnight. So it's the first possible story I can give you today, and here is the tweet. This individual is known as Liz Trust, and she happens to work for, I believe, the Ukraine Foreign Secretary. Or she is the Foreign Secretary, Ukraine. Let me start that over. She is the British Foreign Secretary to Ukraine. There we go. Her name is Liz Truss. And she said her government was looking to confirm reports that Russian forces have used chemical agents in an attack on Mariupol. If you were sort of paying attention to yesterday's stories, we were starting to divulge information that the Butcher of Syria, who is now the acting military general in the Ukraine theater, is probably going to start using chemical weapons. Well, Liz Truss here, and I think I touched on this slightly yesterday, but towards the end of the stories, she is now looking into the usage of chemical agents in Mariupol. Mariupol in the map, if you look at the thumbnail, is the bottom right corner. It's one of the first major port cities for Ukraine. This place has been under attack and under siege by Russian forces since the very beginning of this conflict, way back in February 24th, right? So, as she says, reports that Russian forces may have used chemical weapons agents in a attack on the people of Mariupol. We are working urgently with partners to verify the details. Any use of such weapons would be a callous escalation in this conflict, and we will hold Putin and his regime to account. That'd be great, because apparently Captain Sundown here in the United States in the White House, he doesn't do a fucking thing about this. Moving right along. Around the same time, roughly, another story broke, hit my RSS feed, kept me awake all goddamn night. 7:07 a.m. Ukrainian time, which would be 12:07 Pwnery time, 2 minutes after the first story. And I thought, well, this is going to be a long night, because I take this very seriously. So my ringer is on, and it's on max volume. It sits about 4 inches from my forehead. Ukraine's National Guard Azov Regiment has accused Russia of using chemical weapons, so this is sort of like in concert with the last story, during an assault on the southern port city of Mariupol Monday afternoon. The missile attack included a poisonous substance that resulted in disastrous consequences for its victims, some of whom now suffer respiratory failure, vestibulo-ataxic syndrome. So they inhaled something, and now it's attacking a person's lungs, heart, and all the blood vessels in between the two. The US and the UK have been able to confirm the use of a chemical agent in the attack. That's correct. We always find out about this post facto. But I think it's safe to say, given the person who's in charge of the region now, and his track record of what he had done to the citizens of Aleppo in Syria, that this is happening. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said, former admiral, retired, said the attack potentially included tear gas mixed with other chemical agents, and that the U.S. would continue to investigate the claim. I'm sure you're working so hard, despite the fact that you're fighting so hard not to put boots on the ground. Russia's latest attack on Mariupol comes amid a 6-week siege on a city, which has left over 10,000 civilians dead, according to its local governor. Corpses, quote, carpeted through the streets of Mariupol, said Mayor Vadim Boychenko, who also predicted the death toll could exceed more than 20,000. About 120,000 civilians of the 450,000 6,000 original population continued to remain in the city, desperate for food, water, electricity, and heat, the mayor had added. So that's what I was trying to go to bed to. That's what hit me as I'm laying in bed trying to get 8 dogs to calm down. A couple hours later, about 4 hours later, and I will give you this photo. So, this is about 11:12 a.m. Ukrainian time, and Ukraine's State Emergency Service declares that it had found 6,252 explosive devices that were unexploded. But they were happy to report, like this photo showed, that they were disarmed and neutralized. This is how many duds the Russians have fired in the last 6 weeks. Anyway, so that happened. Moving on. I almost got interrupted just now. Around the same time, I have this photo for you. These are just like Twitter updates from the Kiev Independent. 4:13 a.m., 11:13 a.m. Ukrainian time. So usually what I try to tell you is when the sun goes down, the Russian Air Force becomes very active, and this is kind of like the after action report. 9 dead in overnight attacks across the Ukraine. So as this says, 5 Ukrainian regions hit by Russia overnight. I'm going to try to get to read this. Khmelnytsky Oblast was hit by a missile while shelling continued in Kharkiv, Donetsk, Luhansk, and Kherson oblasts. Oblast is sort of like, I guess if I were to sort of describe this to you in terms of something that we here in America would understand, oblasts are like sort of like counties. I guess that's a good way to put it. At least 9 people died, a couple tens are injured. They don't do things by the dozen apparently in Kiev. Moving right along. I'm going to get you through this pretty quick because we're moving pretty fast. This photo here, this is also another Kiev Independent. This came about 2 minutes after the last story. And this is not the first time we've mentioned this, but Russia may have used phosphorus munitions in Mariupol. So, for those of you who don't know, there's a type of a munition we call Willie-Petes, which is white phosphorus artillery rounds. And what they do is they lob them over, they explode on the ground, and anybody who gets hit by the shrapnel of these white phosphorus rounds, these things basically hit you like a bullet. The problem is once they strike human flesh, they don't stop burning human flesh. And the best way I can describe how this works is if you are older than I am, and you were a regular viewer of, say, the television series MASH, there was a very specific episode in MASH where Benjamin Hawkeye Pierce had to remove white phosphorus wounds from wounds of a soldier brought to the 407th. And the way he was able to find them is he would turn off all the lights in the operating room so he could see the phosphorus rounds that were still burning in this guy's flesh and then pick them out. This is the kind of round that's been used by the Russians in this conflict, which apparently goes against the Geneva Convention and probably the Hague Convention. But then again, it seems like right now the belligerent, the Russians, are the only people who seem to remember how to fight a war to win it. So despite the fact that they're the belligerent and they're doing this evil attack against a sovereign nation, they're using methods that would stand to reason that they would use these to try to gain a quick victory. But they haven't won yet. Just so you know. So let's move on. A couple hours have gone by, about 4 hours past that last story, and it is now 19 minutes after Pwnery's alarm goes off. So it's 8:19 a.m. In Ukraine, 3:19 p.m. Ukrainian time. And I will give you this photo here. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Tuesday that his forces are still not getting all that they need from supporting allies to, quote, end the war sooner, as Kiev braces for an eastward campaign from Russia. So, for those of you who've been paying attention to previous episodes, you understand that they had tried to attack Kiev, the capital. They wanted to sort of decapitate the government and then administer their form of law. Didn't go so well. They had a giant corridor of reinforcements north. Everyone was screaming, why the hell have you not destroyed that and turned it into the new highway of death? There was no answer. Then we were like, why aren't we donating A-10 Thunderbolt 2s, also known as the Warthog, to burt, and make a new highway of death? And the problem is that the Ukrainian military Air Force would not know how to operate an A-10 because they use MiG-29s. So that was out. So this convoy just sat there. Well, they failed, and they decided, you know what, we're going to pull back. They went back into Belarus, and now they're doing what I call an end around. If you look at the thumbnail, which is there, they went back north to Belarus, back over to Russia, all the way around the east and south borders of Ukraine, and then they came back in the Donetsk and Luhansk region of Ukraine, which is the bottom right corner of the map you see in your thumbnail. That takes some time. Anyway, because of all that, their logistics have been sort of delayed. Their reinforcements are happening in what they would consider safe territory, which is why the number of stories I have for each today is sort of limited. Either way, they're not getting, the Ukrainians are saying they're not getting everything they need fast enough. The problem I have with this is you're looking at a logistic situation where the West, mainly the United States, is trying to provide these munitions and equipment to the Ukraine, where this kind of logistics coordination takes months and they're trying to get it done in days. Whereas the Ukrainians are like, yo, we're not getting this fast enough. Please, we're grateful that you're sending it, but send it quicker. It's just not, it's not, it's not feasible to move these things that quickly. Now, if one could argue, hey, well, if we really wanted to get these things in the hands of Ukraine, we could FedEx International overnight these things, which would come at an incredible cost. Yes, it would work, but that's not how the government works in this country. They're too busy ignoring things like the border crisis and attacking things like ghost guns, which are very rarely used in crimes. And then, obviously, the other gigantic distraction today, which many of you should probably scratch your head and go, is this really a coincidence? That the day after Joe Biden announces ghost gun bans, that there's a mass shooting in a Brooklyn subway terminal? You better quirk an eyebrow and start thinking about that real fucking hard. The timing of this is incredibly suspect. By the way, if you didn't know, the photo of this little 5'5", 180-pound Danny DeVito douchebag is now available. So if you see this guy, Bolo, be on the lookout for a sawed-off little shit who is apparently on the run. But let's move on anyway. Let's see. So, like I said earlier, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said it Tuesday that his forces are still not getting all that they need from supporting allies to end the war sooner, as Kiev braces for an eastward campaign from Russia. Our armed forces are beating the occupiers with wisdom and well thought out tactics, Zelensky said in an address to the nation. But when it comes to the necessary weapons, we still depend on the supply of our partners. Unfortunately, we're not getting as much as we need to end this war sooner, he added. The Ukrainian president said he's not only pushing allies for more heavily armored vehicles and artillery, but he continues to stress the need for jets, aerial defense. Zelensky argued that these hot ticket items are crucial in combating Russian forces and unblocking access to Mariupol, the southern port city that has been heavily pummeled by shelling, and it is believed to be partially besieged by the invading troops. So that was the picture I showed you earlier. About an hour later, it's now a few minutes shy of 4 o'clock Ukrainian time, and I've got this little lovely story for you. And I did put a little red arrow next to the pile of shit on that tweet, because there's a reason for that. 3:54 p.m. Ukrainian time. Ukraine's defense ministry has released a video reportedly showing that a Russian military surveillance drone isn't quite as high-tech as it seems, with features like a taped-on Canon DSLR camera and a fuel tank that was sealed with a plastic water bottle cap. The alleged do-it-yourself modifications were revealed in footage of what Ukraine says is one of its soldiers taking apart a Russian Orlan 10 drone that crashed on its soil. It wasn't even shot down, it just crashed. This is seriously real, not fake, the soldier says while examining the aircraft's fuel tank, according to a translation posted on YouTube. It says fuel, ignition, and here you can see a bottle cap, a typical plastic bottle cap that was cut, possibly a mineral water bottle. And it was attached to the body of the UAV to be used like this, he continues, joking that Russia is not Russia without a bottle. In another portion of the video, the soldier purportedly shows how a consumer purchased Canon DSLR camera was attached to the drone with Velcro. So this thumbnail is the actual drone that he had captured. I didn't play the video because I wasn't sure about copyright or whatever, but this is just a screenshot from it. If you wanted to see it, it's available for you to view. It's on Twitter. You can't miss it. Just look up at InformComUA, and you will get that information. Let's move on. Actually, give me just a sec, Scott. Buy me about 30 seconds, will you? Because I got to go run and grab something real quick.
You gotta grab something?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be right back.
So, I got things in the mail. I got some extra magazines for my CZ97BD, which work nicely. So, I'm happy about that. I also got some of those bright orange mags from Classic. The shit. I just took the AR mags there. Anyways, I got two of those, which are very orange. I didn't even need them. I've probably got 100 AR mags laying around. I just ordered them because they're limited edition. They're doing like specific colors now, so I should have ordered more than like toxic nuclear green mags because those are cool. But yeah, it's been a pretty interesting week.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to put you through that.
Nope.
Oh shit! I almost had a party foul just now. All right, let's see. Okay, so let's see. Now we're around 6:27 p.m. Ukrainian time. So this is what, 2 hours and 30-ish minutes from the last story. This one's pretty bad. I wish I had a picture for this, and I desperately tried to find a caption photo for this, but I just couldn't find one. That didn't really relate to the story. But if you read the description to the video tonight, you probably sort of get what I'm saying at here, or what I'm getting at here. Ukrainian Marines trying to defend the city of Mariupol from the onslaught of the Russian army says that they've been fighting for more than a month without any resupply of ammunition, food, or water. But now the quote mountain of wounded makes up more than half of their numbers. This was this is a dire warning from the Ukrainian 36 Navy or Marine Brigade. They posted this on their social media and suggest that cracks are starting to form in Ukraine's fierce defense of Mariupol. Now, bear in mind, Mariupol was ground zero of the offensive on day 1. Today is day 48. They have been fighting for 47 days. 48 days. Surrounded, blockaded, bombarded. Airstrikes, artillery, and infantry, chemical weapons, you name it, these poor bastards have had to deal with it. They have held 41 days longer than the Pentagon estimates of 3 days. Anyway, from the beginning, we have been defending Mariupol for 47 days, the Marines had wrote. We were bombed from airplanes. We were shot from artillery, tanks, and other fire materials. We have kept the defense worthy by doing the impossible. But all of our resources have a potential to run out. For more than a month, the Marines have fought without any refilling of their ammunition, with no food and with no water. But now, the mountain of wounded makes up more than half of the crew. Those who have unbroken limbs and can walk continue to return to fight in order. The Marines also say that their unit is dying but fighting, and gradually we're about to meet our end. Further is death for some, but captivity is for others, it said. I don't know what's next, but I really ask you to remember the Marines with kind words, no matter what develops from this day onward. Please do not speak badly of these Marines. This is a farewell to the free world for a group of soldiers who know that they're not going to survive this. This is their Alamo moment. Mariupol is San Antonio, Texas, 1863. These guys are about to die. This was their last chance to send a message out to the world to let them know that they did everything they could for as long as they could, and reinforcements never came. This isn't a guilt trip. This is just a declaration of the obvious. They're not going to survive this. They know they're about to be annihilated. They have held fast at ground zero from the first day this long. And it forced the Russians to work around them and past them to the point where they have become surrounded, blockaded, and now very slowly and systematically eradicated. You can't help but feel for these guys. I mean, the Berlin airlift of years past is exactly what these guys need. They need bullets, they need bandages, they need antibiotics, and they need reinforcements. And realistically speaking, they can't get them. They know they're going to die. So it's kind of a sobering reminder of how brutal war is. It puts a real human picture onto what's going on. Because, you know, for most of us here in the United States, we read these statistics and we're like, okay, there's a war going on over there, and this number of people have attacked, and this number of people have died. But at the end of the day, you can't really associate with that. You can't relate to that. As a psychologist, I can tell you, if you don't have friends or family that are directly involved in the military, this is not something you can really wrap your head around. But they're still going to tell you anyway, because they're trying to reach out and pull your heartstrings into this one. They're not your family, but they want you to feel like you're their family. And they're trying to tell you that they know that you can't help, and they also are trying to tell you that they're trying to say goodbye, because eventually their communications will be cut off. They will be annihilated. There's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing that the West wants to do about it, first of all, but there's nothing that we individually can do about it because we're halfway around the world. It's very tragic because you're witnessing the death of somebody. You're witnessing the death of an entire division. It's kind of sad because they're dying defending for what they believe in against a, a regime that is trying to take away everything that this country was founded on. It's pretty heavy. It's very heavy. Anyway, I'm not trying to guilt trip you all into this. It's just I'm trying to set the stage. It's kind of weird. Like, if you know you're going to die, the things that you say are going to be very poignant and it's very relatable. These guys know they're going to die. They know they're going to die. There's no reinforcements coming. I can't even imagine what it's like for them. I really can't. But we can always say that we love you and we support you and we salute you. But at the end of the day, none of those things are going to preserve their lives. They're still going to die. Let's move on, as difficult as that might be. About an hour and 15 minutes later, it is now 1:45, which would be 7:45, which means we have hit dusk in Ukraine. And I have this photo for you here, which has some... This is an updated version of a photo I shared several days ago, but now it actually sort of spells it out for you. Bucha Mayor Anatoly Fedoruk said Tuesday that 403 civilian bodies have been found so far in their city outside of Kiev since the start of the Russian invasion on February 24th. Only 163 of those victims have been identified because either they're so decomposed or they're so mangled or they had found mass graves where they were just pieces of people that they just can't identify what's in there. You see, that's the problem. The Russians had invaded Bucha, and if you look at the top in the center of that photo, or the top right of that photo, you can see how much of an offset it is from the main city of the capital, Kiev. It was underneath the Iron Curtain of the Russian military. We didn't know what was going on there because the Russians controlled the area, so the media couldn't get in there and show it to us. Once they had retreated, the military, the civilian population, and the media were able to move back into Bucha and start taking these photos and videos and pictures and digging up what they thought was disturbed earth, which uncovered mass graves. They have found 403 civilian casualties in that one little tiny hamlet of a town. Now, I know most of you aren't from Texas, and some of you aren't from the city of Houston, which is the 4th largest city in the country, but I'm going to use a reference here that hopefully most of you, wherever you are, can relate to. Houston is the 4th largest city in the country, population-wise. It's large. For a guy like me, when I say that I'm willing to drive an hour to go see my barber, or an hour to go eat dinner, that may sound like a very great distance to you. For me, it's just normal life. I have to drive an hour to see my barber. I have to drive an hour and 20 minutes to go to my favorite Italian restaurant. It is what it is. Okay? For a guy like Scott, who lives in New Hampshire, an hour and a half would put him back in Massachusetts, or Vermont, or fucking maybe even Maine.
Oh, 45 minutes puts me there.
Right. So, I mean, that gives you an idea of scale for distance and time, right? Well, these people were able to go back to Bucha once the, quote, Iron Curtain of Russia had retreated, and now they're showing us the brutality of what these people are capable of doing. Now, I was willing to give a mulligan to the conscripts and the young soldiers of the Russian infantry, but at the end of the day, even if they were scared or forced to follow orders from their superiors who were FSB jerk-offs, it doesn't change the fact that this still happened. And now you're starting to see what these people are capable of doing. Which is why I always say that nothing resets a nation's priorities faster than a world war. Because what it does is it shows you the best and the absolute worst of humankind. The best in terms of humanitarian efforts in trying to rescue people or save these people, or to at least report what they found, like in Bucha. But it also shows you the worst in people. Because even though a lot of these young soldiers in the Ukraine or in the Russian military may have never been born into communism, there are always going to be diehards, neo-Nazi types, people who buy the message and become brainwashed by the propaganda. That's why the body count is so high. You have FSB, KGB, and just psychotic Cold War derelicts brainwashing the next generation of Russian citizenry who may have joined the military because the village they lived in was so poor or so backwoods that the military was the best thing that could have ever happened to them. 3 hots and a cot and technology, maybe a little bit of education. Those guys are grateful for the opportunity. They'll fight to the death. Even though what they're doing is wrong, it's still better than they ever had from where they came from. Turning over rocks and shitty dirt for turnips. You know? So it's like, there's a dichotomy of hating your enemy, but also being able to empathize with the poor people in the enemy's infantry. It's a very strange thing. If I had been younger, if I was still the high school kid or the college freshman, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, fuck them, they're still guilty. But being at the cusp of 42 or at the end of my 42 and going into my 43, I'm starting to get it. Some of these poor bastards had no choice because it was either join or starve. Join or be Neanderthal in Vladivostok. Some of these guys did it because it was the best opportunity they had. It's still horrible, don't get me wrong. But can you blame them? They needed to eat. They wanted to be moderately successful. They're not all ogre-brained troglodytes, you know? Some of them were forward-thinking like me. But they only had the opportunity by joining the army. And then that army ordered them to do horrific things to their fellow man. It is what it is. Moving on. Let's see, I've got a couple of stories left and 16 minutes to give it to you. About an hour later, 1:47 p.m., and I'll give you this photo, which this building should look very familiar to you because it is sort of the iconic symbol of Mariupol. This is the Mariupol Theater. This is where they had put the words children on large stones arranged in the parking lots of both ends of the building in Cyrillic, so Russian aircraft could look down and see it and go, wait a minute, they're trying to tell us something here. Instead of saying, oh, there's children there, we shouldn't attack this, they thought, ha ha ha, target-rich environment, and they bombed that building at high altitude, and they killed just about everybody on the top floor. The people in the bomb shelter below may have survived, but the hundreds that were in that theater above that bomb shelter, they all died. Which is why they keep showing us this theater, this picture. 8:47 p.m. Ukrainian time. Ukrainian presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak wrote on Twitter today that Volodymyr Zelensky and the country's military is doing everything possible to help soldiers dealing with supply issues in the besieged city of Mariupol. His message comes after the Marine unit in the city on Sunday issued a dire warning indicating that its healthy numbers are dwindling as ammunition, food, water, and other crucial items are now at risk of running out. If the Kremlin now hates something more than Ukraine, it is the word Mariupol, Podolyak said. For a month and a half, our defenders have held the city from the Russian horde, which is 10 times larger than us. They are kept under bombardment and bite into every meter of the city, and they make Russia pay an incredibly high price. Our soldiers remain trapped in the city and have problems with supplies, he continued. The country's military and political leadership is aware of the problem, monitors the situation in real time, and has more information than is known on social media networks. The president and the leadership of the armed forces are doing everything possible and impossible to find a solution and to help our soldiers, Podolyak also said. We cannot communicate our plans and actions publicly without informing the enemy. Please treat this with understanding. They're saying essentially what Admiral John Kirby at the Pentagon has been saying in his Pentagon briefings. There are things going on, but we cannot publicly disclose that because the enemy is listening. This is a city who has been under attack for 48 days. Ground zero, day one. Still holding. Completely surrounded, not getting reinforced. Although, I do recall hearing, I want to say SecDef, maybe it was SecDef, Austin, said that if it comes down to it, we will do tactical airdrops in the region. Berlin airlift style. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but it could, according to him. We'll see. Let's move on. Because now I got 13 minutes left. Let's see. Around the same time as 8:48 in Moscow. And this is a post facto story, but I'll show you this picture anyway. No, that is not a missile that you see above you, above that sawed-off little Russian runt's head. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Tuesday that his country's invasion of Ukraine was, quote, the right decision. During his first known trip outside of Moscow since the bloody assault began on February 24th. Putin made the comment while visiting the Vostochny space base in far eastern Russia on the 61st anniversary of the Soviet Union's Yuri Gagarin, becoming the first human in inner space. On the other hand, we are helping and saving people, and on the other, we're simply taking measures to ensure the security of Russia itself, Putin said Tuesday, repeating a claim that Russia has used to justify the invasion. It's clear that we didn't have a choice, but it was the right decision. Putin also said the campaign's goals are absolutely clear and noble, though Russia's military has been accused of repeatedly killing civilians and committing war crimes. The Russian leader suggested that his country will remain strong despite increasing sanctions from Western nations. The sanctions were total. The isolation was complete, but the Soviet Union was still first in space, Putin reportedly had said at this gathering here. We don't intend to be isolated, Putin added. It is impossible to severely isolate anyone in the modern world, especially a country as vast geographically as Russia. He's got a point there. If I'm not mistaken, the continent of Asia and the country of Russia spans 7 time zones, something like that. They're a very large geographic country. So it is possible. Terry Scherer says that his sister lives in Deer Park, Texas. Tell me more. Tell me more. That's only an hour and a half away. Pwnery is single. He's 43. Just saying. Anyway.
Has an unhealthy appetite for guns.
Has an no, because Terry's a gun guy too, so it's okay. It's okay. Just saying. I've got goals. I'm trying to meet those goals. Moving right along before I start turning this into the dating game. Don't tell my current dentist assistants that I've been dating. This doesn't escape this room. Which I get to go see her Friday. Anyway, moving on. Just, you didn't hear any of that. About 45-ish minutes later. No, an hour and 45 minutes later. 3:32 Central Standard Time. 10:32 Ukrainian time. I'll show you this picture of this shackled, balding loser. That's right. That's what I called him. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced on social media Tuesday that Ukrainian authorities have captured pro-Russian politician Viktor Medvedchuk, who is at large after escaping house arrest back in February. Medvedchuk is Putin's closest ally in Ukraine, with Medvedchuk claiming that Putin was the godfather of his daughter. He was also placed on house arrest under accusations of treason back in May of 2021, stemming from his involvement in a scheme to transfer oil and gas licenses from Crimea to Russia. Terry just like stabbed me in the heart. It's cool. I was just teasing. Anyway. He was also charged with disclosing Ukrainian military secrets. So essentially what this guy was is he was a puppet leader in Crimea. And then once things started getting a little bit heavy, he escaped and then he was arrested. And there's his pathetic little face wearing shackles. And he doesn't look like he gives a shit, does he? That contemptuous face. It is what it is. Moving on. Get him off my screen. PM. Oh, sorry. My OBS is going crazy. I don't think it disturbed the stream that I can tell. I don't know. We'll see. 4:49. So it's about an hour after the last story, but I'm going to take you back across the pond, and the last stories I have for you to come out of Washington, D.C., strangely enough. 5:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. President Biden is expected to announce an additional $750 million in weapons for Ukraine. Biden will reportedly pay for the assistance using Presidential Drawdown Authority, which allows him to articles and services without approval from lawmakers. This is a unilateral decision. This is a, nope, I'm going to spend it because I fucking want to. It's almost like an executive order.
You mean dictatorial power, you mean?
Yes. It's an unchecked executive order, essentially, when it comes to finances. Now, truth be told, what he's doing, I seriously doubt that most of the American people would oppose to. But if he's going to give another 750, this is $750 million, right? If he's willing to give that to another country, then he damn well better have solutions for, I don't know, gas prices, runaway inflation, the border crisis,
Flint pipes.
Flint, Michigan's water problems. That you
knew that was coming.
Yeah, you meme the shit out of that today. He better have answers to that first. He better have answers to why Gilbert Gottfried died today before he gives away and writes a blank check for $750 million fucking to another country. Anyway, point is, he's gonna do it. Thanks, Terry. I get it. Yeah. I always have this saying that you can you can look on the menu as long as you don't order and eat. You are allowed to run at full speed until the chain runs out of length and you are choked back where you're stuck behind the boards and all you can do is bark. You are definitely somebody I can relate to. Anyway, let's move on. So the new assistance will be added to what is already $1.7 billion in military assistance given to Ukraine by the U.S. since the Russian invasion in January or in February. That may sound like a lot, but you have to remember, when Pwnery was growing up, right before he graduated high school 25 years ago, when a politician said the word billion, they said it very carefully and very gingerly because they knew that saying that they were going to spend that kind of money was political suicide. And yet today, here we are, in the last 2 years, and the Biden administration and his leftist lunatic circus roll the word trillion off their tongues as easy as you and I breathe. So to say $1.7 billion is a drop in the bucket compared to what today's leftists do, it's kind of true, isn't it? If we gave $1 million to every American citizen that was registered as a citizen of this country, about 337 million, that's 3.37 billion, right? That sound right? Or is it 3.37 trillion? Either way, look at the last two omnibus spending bills. And it kind of makes you wonder, where's all the money going? Nancy Pelosi's freezers with all her fancy fucking ice cream. The Warsaw Patriot, well, the Polish Hammer, the Warsaw Patriot wants to be let in. The fact of the matter is I've only got 2 stories left. I'm going to pull him in. Here he is. So it's Patriota Wars. What is it? Patriota Warzowski. Warzowski. You're here. You're here. Welcome. Good evening. You're late. Fuck you. Kidding.
Hey, Suka. All right, I got
Suka. Suka. Anyway, I'm kidding. I'm just teasing. But I have to let you know that I only got 2 stories left. So
that's fine.
Okay.
I gotta get ready for bed anyways.
Oh look, Mikhail Neitstritsky has showed up too.
Oh goodness.
Better late than never. There he is, Mikhail Neitstritsky.
And
Dobro. Good evening. Welcome to the party.
Good evening, Tovarish.
Tovarish. Okay.
I thought you were gonna go to bed, dude.
I'm going to
so
after this
too.
show because I've had an entire case of Carbach Hopadillo IPAs. If it
No,
wasn't-
not that. Nice
I was
records.
gonna go to bed. Now I decided, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just listen to Sean.
It's okay. You can come hang
No.
out. So I got 2 stories left, so let me go ahead and get those over with, and then we'll be on our way.
Have they killed the next Russian general yet?
All in good time, sir. All in good time.
Okay. All right.
All right, so let's move on.
Cross my fingers now.
5:50 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is now 6:50 p.m. Eastern Time, and you're probably wondering why I put a Russian helicopter on the screen. There's a reason for that.
Uh-oh.
President Biden is planning to expand the type of weapons the type of weapons the U.S. will be willing to send to the Ukraine. Part of the expansion could include sending Mikolian? Mi-17 helicopters.
Aren't those kind of old?
Yes.
Yeah.
That can be equipped to attack armored vehicles, an official told the Post. The Mi-17 is a Soviet-era helicopter that was designed, like you said, in the mid-1970s. They are the same helicopters that have been previously used by the Afghan Air Force. Now you know where we got them from. The news comes as the Biden administration is set to announce on Wednesday, tomorrow, that an additional $750 million in military assistance to Ukraine, which comes on top of the $1.7 billion the U.S. has already sent there since the start of the war. So basically what he's trying to do is he's trying to say, no, we're in this for $2.45 billion now. But it's
Oh my
cool
God.
because you're our bro.
Hey, Sean,
Yes.
I got something I want to show you. I think the freaking YouTubers deserve to watch and check out. I came across this on Etsy.
Is it airworthy?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and hit share your screen. I'll turn this caption off and go right ahead.
Let's see if I could pop it up here.
Share your
Hold on.
screen. I'll highlight you.
Things aren't spoken.
This better not be like,
This is on Etsy, dude. I got it. You guys.
all right. There's a screen capture starting. Here you go. Okay, go ahead.
This is on sale right now.
All right. Move to the right a little bit.
If I can get the camera to focus.
No, it's working. No, you turned it sideways. Wipe your feet here. It's a doormat. Fantastic. $15? I'll buy one.
Link me to that. I want to link to that.
Literally, I would buy one of these.
I like it. I like it. All right, cool. So
All
we will do that. Matter of fact, if you put the link in Guns and Ammo Deals, I will edit the video description of today's show. So in case anyone who's watching wants to get one, you can get one.
What is it? Guns and Ammo Deals?
Yeah, just put it in there. What I'll do is I'll take the link that you provide and I'll put it in the description of today's show. So if anybody else wants one, they're more than welcome to click that and they can have it. Also, if you didn't know, those of you watching, my server is open to the public. So if you want to join my Discord server or maybe even be part of the show, there's a link in the description of the video there too. So,
It doesn't want me to put the link there for some reason. Etsy, come on, work with me.
it should be able to work. Just copy the link and then paste it in there. But
Yeah,
anyway,
copy the
I
URL.
did, and it's not wanting it.
it's just hate then. It's racism.
Yeah.
Here, I'll just get a photo of the actual name, and you go on there and just pick it out.
Fair enough. All right, so the last story I have for you today is sort of kind of one of those stories where you just go, duh. It's kind of stating the obvious. 7:02 p.m. Eastern Time. So I was already home by this time. But I found the story. I thought it was worth sharing. President Biden, also known as Captain Sundown, from me, called the actions of Russian forces genocide for the first time on Tuesday. I called it genocide because it's becoming clearer and clearer that Putin is just trying to wipe out even the idea of being Ukrainian. The evidence is mounting, Biden told reporters after appearing to reference the term earlier Tuesday. In comments of inflation earlier Tuesday, Biden said that the prices Americans pay shouldn't depend on whether a dictator commits genocide against another country, an apparent shot at Russian President Vladimir Putin and his decision to invade the Ukraine. We will let the lawyers decide internationally whether or not it qualifies, Biden later clarified in his answer to reporters in Iowa. But it sure seems that way to me. Now, for those of you who don't know, he sort of did a PR presser sort of thing today. He showed up at a convention in Iowa, and I didn't know if it was a John Deere factory, but good God, were there a lot of John Deere tractors behind him. And he was trying to talk about the merits of the biofuel industry. Apparently, Iowa is ground zero for that. They're growing.
No, it's corn industry.
Right. And the
Yep.
thing is he was trying to talk about how the biofuel industry is going to help lower gas prices in the form of blending E15 gas. Now, I live in the fourth largest city in the country. I've seen E15 gas. But for most of you out in the continental United States, you haven't. Because there's only about 5,000 fuel stations in the entire country who actually offer E15 as a fuel alternative. But I will tell you, it's smoke and mirrors. It's a dog and pony show. It's a scam. Ethanol-based...
Everything the Democrats do.
Well, no. Ethanol-based fuel in this country, in the United States, is the biggest fraud and scam perpetrated on the American people in history. Because when
Thought
they
that was COVID.
pushed this bullshit, they try to tell you ethanol-based fuel, first of all, is renewable. Yes, it is, but not in the scale that we need it. They also said it would be cheaper per gallon. It
No,
is
it's not.
not, because it takes petroleum to produce ethanol-based fuel. So when you go to the pump and you see E85, you've probably noticed that's only about 10 cents cheaper than regular unleaded gasoline, which makes it not viable. Because if you have a vehicle that's not flex fuel compatible, you will fuck up your fuel system on a level that would make a mechanic like I used to be laugh incredibly. Now, there are some merits to ethanol. Number one, it is slightly cheaper per gallon, but not to the point that the government's trying to push. Number two, it is an incredibly higher octane rating than gasoline. Pwnery takes what he calls jungle juice. He blends E85 gas with 93 octane gas, and in the proportion he mixes it in, creates 100 octane fuel, which goes in his Thunderbird, and the car likes it. However, my car's not flex fuel compatible. So what I do is I put 2 gallons of E85 on top of 15 gallons of 93 octane regular gas, and I make 100 octane fuel. Now, if you have most of your vehicles, that's the best you can do. 10% of your total fuel capacity, which means you're really not saving money. The other thing is, they can't run E15 fuel like they want during the summer months because of emission standards, because of the Green New Deal bullshit. So that's a problem. Now Biden's trying to revoke that to make E15 fuel, which is 85% regular gasoline with 15% ethanol blended in. Think of it as Johnny Walker Red Label, blended scotch that tastes like jet fuel.
Ew.
Pwnery doesn't drink anything lower than Black Label. It doesn't even like Black Label. Would rather drink Double Black, Fatted Green Label, Platinum, Gold Label, and Blue Label. Everything else is crap.
So what Pwnery is saying is he's an alcohol snob.
Well, no, because Pwnery still likes drinking Old Granddad, which is $16 a liter. I'm genetically obligated to like Old Granddad because my dad's dad, who was born in 1860-something, drank it. And it turned him into Mr. Hyde. And it turns me into Mr. Hyde. So when I buy a bottle of Old Granddad, everyone in my house fucks off and stays clear of me. Either way, they're trying to push for E15 fuel nationwide with no restrictions all year round. He thinks that this will save the gas prices and lower them down. He is an idiot. If he had not closed the Keystone Pipeline, if he had not messed with energy independence, all of our domestic pipelines would have been completed by now. We would still be paying $1.17 a gallon for 93 octane premium, which is what Pwnery's Thunderbird requires. Which means you would be paying 89 cents for regular unleaded. You would be
Not
paying...
necessarily because of inflation.
Well, in my area, in Houston, the refinery capital of the country, you'd be paying 89 cents for regular.
Probably $1.25.
Once upon a time, diesel was cheaper than unleaded, but that's not the case anymore. You would probably be paying 99 cents for diesel. But because Captain Sundowner and his circus of liberal retards are in power, we have high gas prices.
They are pretty retarded.
We are energy independent or codependent again. We are asking our enemies to produce more fuel when we could be doing it ourselves. At the same time, telling our allies in Europe, stop buying Russian oil. We'll give you more fuel from America. So does that mean he's going to cut our supplies even shorter to feed other nations while we starve? Who the fuck
Yeah.
gave him that authority?
Well, he's got to give them,
Well,
energy commodities, which we need, therefore driving the fucking price up on us and making it very uncomfortable for the American people.
who gave him that
Because
authority?
they want you to buy those $50,000 electric vehicles.
I'm gonna pull a Jerry
same
Springer
people
here.
that gave him the authority to ban ghost guns.
I'm gonna pull. Well, he hasn't done it
Nobody.
yet. He hasn't done that yet.
He
I'm
won't be
gonna
doing
pull
that,
a Jerry
everybody's
Springer
about to
here.
sue his ass.
I'm gonna be like, and now my final thought, right? He doesn't have the authority to do so. On top of that, there needs to be a Congress with the testicular fortitude to hold this administration to account. Because what he is doing for energy dependence and what he's doing at our border completely undermines national security in this country. What he has done at the border is a travesty. It is frankly treason. Because the very definition of a sovereign nation is to have a well-defined, organized, and respected border. We do not have that with this idiot in power. When Title 42 is revoked in May, you are going to see a crisis the likes you have never seen before. And it is all in the name of trying to corral Democrat votes.
Trying to replace. Honestly, he and the Democrats are doing it because they're trying to get these people into this country so they can replace every Republican vote. So
I don't think so.
So nobody ever votes Republican.
I don't think so. They're trying to fuck up the country as much as they can in the next 7 months because they know they will not be in power for the next 30 years. They're trying to make so much damage in the next 7 months. Because once the midterms are over, Biden's presidency is over. Anything he tries to push will be negated by Congress, which is exactly what their Congress did during Trump's administration. There was just enough Democrats to force and fuck up everything he wanted to do. So in 7 months after the midterms, the last 2 years of the Biden presidency will be basically lame duck. And then you're about to witness the second coming of Grover Cleveland. Because right now the best thing that the Republicans can do is put the last guy back in power. Now, granted, as a 2A advocate, I'm not happy with President 45. I'm not.
You think I am?
No, I'm not saying you are either. I'm just saying...
But he's the lesser evil at this point.
He is the lesser of two evils at this point. And I don't think his son is going to let him make the same mistake twice. Eric is not going to... Or DJ... Which one was it that was Pro 2A? Was it Eric or
Don
DJT?
Junior.
Okay, so DJT or DTJ will probably tell his dad, if you want to get reelected, don't fuck with 2A rights. I mean, just look at the political climate. Georgia became the 25th constitutional carry state in this country. We are now one... Oh, you did a show tonight?
Yeah, I did. That's why I was late, man. I was finishing up Pin or Miss.
I didn't get an email for a link.
I did. Oh, you're complaining about a link. I got the notification, though.
I didn't get a link.
I'm pretty sure I sent you an email.
Truth be told, I'll be honest, I didn't open my email tonight since I got home, so...
Okay,
I'm not saying you didn't do it. I'm just saying I didn't see it. Okay.
Let me check to make sure you were in the list.
Fair enough.
If you're not in the list, then it's my bad. Then I probably should have done better.
I'll be there. You've done so well for the last couple of weeks here. I can return the favor.
I know I had to take some time off because I was getting better, and I am better now.
You sound a lot better.
I feel a lot better.
Good.
No, I did send you an email. So.
Okay. I haven't opened my Outlook since I got home. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so,
You have 118 days as of this broadcast to get yourself an 80%er.
yeah.
Do it. Don't fuck around. If you need help in finding one, DurkinTactical.com. Primary
As long
arms.
as they have them in stock.
Or check my community tab on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I have links straight to JSD Supply.
Nice.
They're sold out.
Solid. But they're taking back orders, so you have 118 days as of today.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't care one way or another, but I bought one anyway because I'm like, you know what? If that's a thumb in the eye of the Biden administration, so be it.
Well,
Oh, it
here's
shouldn't even be that. It's a thumb in the eye of the ATF.
the
Yes.
thing. You should, if you are a gun owner, if you like firearms, if you like the Second Amendment, you should care because they're trying to take your ability to make something yourself in your own home away from
Absolutely.
you.
And it's
Absolutely.
legal by
It's
our own
been legal since
constitutional
before
law.
the country existed.
Correct.
It has
Yep.
been legal since before the country existed. It's been, and people had been making their own firearms at home since at least the 1800s.
1791.
Oh, 1700s.
And it's
1791.
it is a federal law, believe it or not. It's protected by a federal law.
But see, I don't know if you know Sean, but I posted like a short YouTube short, a few days ago, of me finishing my 80%.
Nice.
Not the final product, and I'm like, yeah, is it perfect? No, you're gonna mess up a little bit.
It's a
But
learning curve.
It's a learning curve. One, it's my first one I did out of
Sure.
plastic. But the thing is, I may have messed up here and there, so it's not pretty, but I was able to recover from it, and I was able to turn it into a working firearm regardless. So it's really hard to screw it up and not have a working firearm from an 80%.
Oh boy, I gotta add this real quick.
I'm sorry for going off on a tangent.
No,
John.
that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I'm gonna add something to the show right quick. Because
Right now?
Yeah, because I ran out of stories, right? But I just picked up one and I want to share it. And I'm gonna put this right here. There you go. I'm sure this is happening live. Right? Yeah, there it is. It's on the screen. So before we conclude today, this is the last story I have for you because this just hit my feed 2 minutes ago. So this will be 9:46 p.m. Central Standard Time, which would be, let's see, 9 plus
10:26 Eastern.
No.
It's like
This
5
is
a.m.
4:47 a.m. day 49 Ukrainian time. So this is probably a post facto story.
Yeah.
But this did just hit my feed, and it reads, the updated statistics of people killed in Bucha has now reached 720 people. And in Kiev's surrounding suburbs, more than 200 are still claimed missing. This came from Ukraine's Interior Ministry Wednesday morning. So, yes, this is Tuesday night, but this is also Wednesday morning in Ukraine.
Right.
So we've already hit day 49. But I wanted to share this with you
time
before
zones
we
everything.
concluded for the day. In Bucha alone, more than 400 have been found dead, and the number could rise, Mayor Anatoly Fedoruk said. So this photo is actually from a woman named Nadia, hang on, give me a second, I have to read the Cyrillic. Nadia Trubchaninova. That's hard to read. She's 70 years old. She is sitting next to the plastic bag that contains the body of her son, Vadim, who is 48 years old. He was killed by Russian soldiers 12 days ago on the outskirts of Kiev. This is in Bucha. She found the body yesterday. That's why the bag is so flat, because he's sort of decayed already.
Oh, that's awful.
Dude, here's the first thing. One is it's her son. It's supposed to be the other way around. The mother's supposed to die for her son. And two,
Parents should never bury their children.
correct, but it's also how bad the body's mutilated.
That's why he's so skinny in that bag.
Parents should never bury their children, and children should never die before their parents.
I had to bury one of mine. It's not a very good feeling. Anyway, that's all the stories I've got for you today. I did sort of bleed over past an hour. But what I'd like to do now is play this for you. Wait, it's not working. There you go. I'm going to play this for you. And I'm going to thank you all for watching. I'm going to thank my panelists for being here. I'm going to thank you, the audience, for being here. I'll even thank Terry for telling me about a sister he had that's only an hour away, but she's already married, so there's nothing I can do about that. Anyway.
Come on, man.
Oh, that wouldn't stop you.
Anyway, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a regular here, welcome back. Either way, check out my other playlists and see if my other interests may be of interest to you. Sunday, I will bring you another, quote, revolver video, which will be the last of a series that I had recorded previously that I've been releasing every Sunday for the last 5 weeks. But in my lap is what I bought myself for my birthday. That will come a little bit later. So anyway, I want to thank you for watching. This was The War Room. This was day 48. And we'll see you tomorrow. Slava Ukraini.
Heroyam Slava.
Heroyam Slava.